Okay, so I've made a few videos this past weekend, starting I guess on Friday, talking about our incubator. So as you know, we tried to incubate 21 eggs. Now, in the past, I think around January, I told you that I was a little bit concerned about our rooster. To give you a brief history, since I've made so many videos over this weekend, just so anybody new will know what I'm talking about. We had a rooster, a Brahma, and Brahmas are huge chickens, and they're just beautiful chickens. And he weighed probably 15, 16 pounds. He was huge, massive. Just towered all over the other chickens. Well, he got up on his roost, like he did every night, and jumped down and broke his foot. Well, we had to put him out of his misery. There was just no choice. He wasn't walking, he couldn't keep up. The hens were getting on top. I mean, think about this, a 15-pound chicken and the hens are beating him up. So we put him out of his misery. Well, that left us without a rooster. So we decided we were going to have to get a rooster. So we got on Facebook Marketplace. And this lady who had gotten some chickens lived kind of in a, I don't want to say a municipality, but she lived in a populated area out in the country. It makes sense if you know where we live. She got a bunch of hens, made a little pretty shack for the chickens. It was kind of a neat little setup they had with the electric fence and the whole deal. So when they ordered their chickens, they only ordered hens. Well, sometimes you'll get a rooster out of that. So they got a rooster. Well, of course, roosters make noise and nobody likes roosters, so she had to get rid of it. So we got it, and I don't know, we may have paid, it was a little pricey, but it was worth it to us. We thought it was worth it to us. I don't know, we paid maybe 15 bucks. But the nice thing is we got to go to a pretty area and get this chicken. That's beside the point. I guess that was in the fall, maybe late summer, early fall we got him. So he went through the winter, and we were going to use him to fertilize eggs that spring. Well, our plans had changed. Carolyn's son came, wanted to stay with us for a few months. So we bought a little camper, a huge camper actually, and we had to fix that up. So had to do some solar panel work, just a lot of stuff going on. So we decided we weren't going to incubate eggs that year. So that was last year. Well, I've been watching this dang rooster for months, and he just hadn't been mating with the hens. He just wasn't doing it. So this past January, so almost a year and a half after we got him, I made a video and I said, I don't think he's mating with the hens. Well, right behind me in the video, he mated with one of the hens, and I went ahead and posted a video so y'all can make fun of me, and you did your job. So we went ahead and thought, well, maybe he is mating, we're just not seeing it, which is very unreasonable to us, at least to me. I don't know, because we had 2 roosters a while back and they were just tearing the chickens up. The thing is you're supposed to have like 10 hens per rooster, and it's not like we were that far off. We had 17 hens, 2 roosters, so we should have had 20. So I didn't see it as we were that far off from having enough hens. But man, they were constantly mating with the hens and tearing them up because their claws were getting into their backs and cutting them up and ripping out their feathers. I felt terrible for them. So it was just getting too bad. So we ended up getting rid of those roosters. That's why we ended up getting the big 15-pound rooster. So we're watching this chicken or this rooster, and he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. Now, the thing is we have 13 hens. So like I said, you're supposed to have 10 hens per rooster. It's actually 10 to 12. So I don't think we have way too many. We got 1 extra than what we're supposed to have. So I just didn't understand. So we brought the chicken eggs up. Guess they were fertilized, and we started incubating them. Now, Carolyn had a bit of concern that it was too cold when we brought the eggs up. The temperatures got down into the 30s when we started bringing the eggs up. But everything we research, I mean, there's a couple says don't refrigerate. That doesn't mean that you can't have it out in the cold for a few hours. But everything we read said it's okay to have it out in the cold for a few hours. And when you think about it in the nature's aspect, a hen would be out in the cold, gathering up all the eggs for the day. I mean, they literally do. They could gather up the eggs, roll them into the spot that they're supposed to be in. So it's going to take them all day to gather up these eggs. And they do it. So we just didn't think the temperature was the problem. But we took a guess, and we may be on to something, that our rooster has been rejected by the hens. Since he was introduced into an established flock, you know, there's a pecking order. I know every time I say this, somebody makes fun of the rooster inappropriately, I should mention. And I've said many, 2 or 3 times now, let's not do that in my comment section. You're just going to get blocked. So if you want to get blocked, say something inappropriate. I mean, there's families that get in my comment section. There's no reason for all that kind of trash talk. So there's a pecking order. And I guess hens can establish a pecking order just as well as the rooster can. Which is funny to me because the rooster kind of establishes where everybody goes on the roost. Well, he's not even on the roost. They've kicked him off the roost. He's down on the ground or on the floor in the chicken coop. So maybe he's been rejected. Now, other thing that hens can do is they can literally reject, say a rooster did mate with one of them, they can reject the stuff that the incubation process, the fertilization process, they can reject that internally. I found that interesting. So it's quite possible that they just don't like this rooster. So we've decided that we're going to establish a new flock, of course. This batch of chickens won't go another year. They'll produce eggs this year, and I guess we'll end up butchering them this fall. And then next spring, we'll do another batch of eggs. So we need to get more roosters. Of course, we need to get more hens too, because we're getting ready to get rid of these. Because we want to have 3 age groups of chickens. So next spring would give us 2. Well, we have 2 now. And then we'll start the cycle of butchering the oldest flock in the spring. Or excuse me, in the fall. Spring, fall, you understand what I'm trying to say. That way we always have eggs being produced through the winter. I've said this in many videos, and I confuse people too much when I talk about this. So we brought the eggs up, incubated them, and we only got 2 chicks out of them. And so yesterday's video, I showed you the 2 chicks, and I'll put an up next box to that video at the end of this video. Only got 2, which tells me that it is the rooster. It could not have been the cold weather. If it was the cold weather, they all would have failed. But the rest of them didn't even attempt to incubate. We candled them, and they were hollow. There was nothing in them, so they didn't even start. It's got to be a rooster problem. So since we only got 2 and we need so many roosters and hens, we went ahead and bought some chickens today. We bought 20 chickens. Now, we had a plan, and the temperature just is not cooperating. And we're going to get down to 27 degrees again. Here it is, April, and we're going to get down to 27 degrees. So we were going to take the chickens out, or the chicks, out to the camper when we got them. And we're going to use heat pads to keep them warm. Now, what I used to do is I would fill up a water bottle with hot water. We can use our on-demand water heater, fill up the 1-gallon juice bottle, and that keeps them warm. They haul it up against that, and it keeps them warm. And you replace that about every 5 hours or so. Well, with it being down in the camper, we didn't want to do that, so we got some heat pads. But with it being so cold, we're concerned that there's nothing we can do without electric that's going to keep them warm, because you're supposed to have a heat lamp. So we ordered a heat plate, and that'll be here Thursday. This is Monday. So we wanted to go ahead and get the chicks now. That way we can integrate our 2 chicks in with a batch of chickens, chickens that we buy at the same age group. I was afraid the farmer would sell before we had a chance to go get it on Thursday. So we got it today. Now, we have raised chicks in this house, what, 2 or 3 times before. And I hate everything about it. It is terrible. It smells. It takes up the house. It's we're doing it now, but it's only until Thursday. This isn't so bad. But the thing is when the chicks are small, this is fine. This works okay. But when they get bigger, then you got to have 2 crates. You got to stack them on top of each other. It's a mess. It just doesn't work in here. But in the camper, underneath the bed, there's this huge spot that the chicks could go into. Right, the lid lifts up. It's perfect. It's a perfect spot for them. But it's so cold, without some sort of heat plate, we have to keep them in here. Now the heat plate only takes 30 watts. That's very reasonable. We should be able to handle that pretty good. Now I might have to run the generator, especially on cloudy days like this, but we can handle 30 watts. The incubator, 60 watts. Now the difference between the incubator and the heat plate is the heater on the incubator shuts off. Kicks on, shuts off. Not very often though, because there's no insulation to it. So it runs quite a bit, but it still shuts off. Whereas that heat plate will stay on the entire time. But that's okay, we'll manage. 30 watts is not hard to do. So we brought them in here until Thursday. And so I'm gonna stick the camera down in there. Now I have these lights here. These are lights that we used to grow. They're grow lights for our plants when we were raising seedlings. We don't garden anymore because we're carnivores, but we use these for lights all the time at night. Doesn't use a lot of electric because it's LED lights. So we'll get you in here. Okay, so you should be able to see. I will get the laser pointer. See, that is a water bottle. That's a bottle that I filled up with hot water, and you can see probably that they're all colored around that water bottle. Now we have some chicks over here that are moving around. They're a little bit more active. Unfortunately, they're covered up by the light. Oh, finally, I see one drinking. I've been trying to watch to see if they've been drinking, but I hadn't seen it until just now. Good. You got to show them where the water and the food is, otherwise they may get lost and just never eat. It might be good that we've introduced chicks that were already trained, but that's all beside the point. So the water bottles keep them warm. Now the temperature in the tub is 80 degrees. This is a laser pointer type of thermometer, so we can monitor the temperature in there. If I hit the water bottle is 101 degrees. So run the wood stove, keep the water bottles filled, and we'll be able to keep them warm until we get that heat lamp. So we got 22 now. We bought 10 Americanas, 10 speckled Sussex. Then we have the 2 that we incubated, which is just a mixed breed of things. Now, the hope is that we'll get some roosters out of this. When she determines whether it's a rooster or a hen, she checks the feathers. Now you can check it through their reproductive organs. She doesn't do that, she checks it with the feathers. So she says they're pullets, females, but that is only 70% accurate. We should get maybe 5 roosters out of this batch. That's our goal, that's what we're hoping for. And then we'll keep 2. There'll be 17 hens possibly, plus the 2 that we incubated. One of those might be a rooster, 50-50 shot there. So hopefully we'll get some roosters out of this. That's the goal. And then next year we'll try incubating again. I know it's a little bit disappointing, but somebody said something that I wish I'd have brought up the other day that was a good point. I do try to show you the realities of everything we do. Not everything is a huge success. We're not, trying to sell YouTube videos and trying to tell everybody, oh yeah, come live off grid, it's easy. I mean, it is easy, but there are times that things just don't work. And so you have to have a backup plan. We've had a backup plan since January when I kind of thought that rooster he just isn't doing what I think he should be doing. So we had a backup plan. And that lady, she's always got so many chickens, and I'm never concerned about going to get chickens from her. So if you'll click this up next box, it'll take you to a video where I was talking about all this yesterday and the 2 chicks. So hope I can inspire you to get through the tough times when you're living your dreams. Thanks for watching.